Hi everyone, thanks for coming back for part 3. In my last video, I was going over this table right here, which reads at the top, August 8, lion, roar, death, mass, war, USA, Iran. And something else that I wanted to point out is just like the Bible talks about a true dawn, a true bringer, or bearer of the dawn, which would be Christ. And then there's the false bearer of the dawn, which would be Lucifer, that's talked about in Isaiah 14. Just as there's a true morning star and a true rising of the sun, as well as a false morning star and a false rising of the sun, there's also the true lion, which is Christ, that he's going to come with a roar at the second coming, the Lion of Judah, which is represented, I believe, by the constellation Leo. I think that's actually probably the most fitting sign of all the constellations for the Lord's return. But just as Jesus comes as a lion, as a roaring lion, the scriptures also talk about the Antichrist, or the false Christ, coming as a roaring lion as well. And I'll just show you a couple of scriptures. Right here in 1 Peter 5:8, it says, "Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour." And then over here in Proverbs 28:15, it says, "Like a roaring lion or a charging bear is a wicked ruler over a helpless people." And over here in Ezekiel 22, it says, "There's a conspiracy of her princes within her, like a roaring lion, tearing its prey. They devour people, take treasures and precious things, and make many widows within her." So the devil is also referred to as a roaring lion in 1 Peter 58, and a wicked ruler over here is referred to as a roaring lion in Proverbs 28:15. So the Antichrist, the false Christ, is referred to as a lion in the scriptures, as well as the true Christ, because Jesus is going to come back with a roar, and he's going to come back as a lion. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one. And in this one, I added the word ISIS, and you see it coming up here in the burgundy, the letters ISIS. And it's interesting that it crosses the 7 days right here. I'm not sure what that means, but what's even more interesting is that you have the word ISIS right here coming up right next to it. So that just seems like a double confirmation that that is in fact the word ISIS encoded in ELS form, since it comes up both ways in ELS form as well as in the plain text, just like the word August does in 2 of the matrices. It comes up in the plain text as well as in ELS form in very close proximity, just a few verses away from each other. So I thought that was interesting, and I think I just did one more set of terms in this matrix. I added the words dawn, which we talked about, new age, and I put in the word rapture, but I had to break it up in 2 parts, birth, and the word wrapped, which is another form of the word rapture, and all those terms came up. And you see the word dawn coming up right here in the pink, the letters DAWN. You see the word new over here in the lavender with the letters NEW, and it crosses right through the word age they're meshed in together. You see H coming up in the bluish purple with the letters A, G, E. You see the first part of the word rapture right here in the light blue with the letters R, A, P. And the second part would be down here in the light green, the letters T, U, R, E. But you also have the word wrapped coming up here in the dark green, the letters R, A, P, T. You have the word August coming up in the light red, the letters A, U, G, U, S, T. And you have the word birth coming up in the yellow with the letters B, I, R, T, H. Now I wanted to just go back to the last table because I forgot to mention how the word USA is coming up right in here where it's talking about the chariots and the horsemen and a very great company, and they came to the threshing floor, and you see USA is coming up. It's actually, the A is coming up inside the word company right here, and then you see the green letters right here, U, S, A. So the word USA is coming up right in there. And then you also have the word war coming up where it's talking about the chariots and the horsemen and a great company and the threshing floor. And you see the word war in the yellow with the letters W, A, R. So I didn't point out where these terms were coming up in the text when I went over that table, so I just wanted to make sure to point that out. And then this is the one I just did, and that was the last one, I believe, in that particular matrix. And so I'm just going to go on to the next one, and as you can see, it has some of the same terms over here in this one, but this is coming up in a different matrix. This is coming up in the book of Acts 27, starting with verse 2 and going through verse 10 in this particular table, where I put in the words August, lion, roar, and I tried to get summer to come up, and I couldn't get the word summer to come up, but I looked in the thesaurus and it had heat as a similar word to summer, so I put heat in, and then I just thought about putting wave in, and that came up as well. And then fire, star, fall, and head. And after head, I tried putting in stone, but that's going to be in the next table. So headstone came up as well as star, but the word stone will show up in the next table. So in this one, you see the word roar right here in the lavender with the letters R, O, A, R. You see star right here in the yellow, and you see USA right next to it right here, and you see the word fire here in the green, the letters F, I, R, E, and the word C is coming up next to the word fire, and you see the word, it looks like the word head is right here in the burgundy, and it looks like it's sharing the H in the word heat, which is coming up here in the bluish purple with the letters H, E, A, T, and then head is sharing that H with the letters H, E, A, D. And then you have the word fall in the green, the letters F, A, L, L. You have the word lion here in the pink, the letters L, I, O, N. That's interesting that it has the word Italy right there next to fire, and the word lion is going through it using the I in Italy. That's interesting. You have Alexandria right here. I'm not sure if those terms are significant. I'm just pointing them out. And then you have the word wave over here in the blue with the letters W, A, V, E. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and go to the next one over here, which I added the word stone, and you see the word stone coming up here in the burgundy, the letters S, T, O, and E. And it's interesting that star is right within the word stone. And then we had the word head in the previous table, and that was coming up here a little bit further down from the word star, but the word star is coming up right within the word stone in this table. And like I had said earlier, this matrix is coming up in the book of Acts chapter 27, but there's another matrix that starts out in Acts 26. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and go to the next matrix here, and I'll start reading the matrix in Acts 26 first, and then I'll go back to this one. So I'll just go on to the next table. And in this one, what I tried to do is I just put in the word August and the word wheat, and it came up with two matches when you do it that way. And this first match is coming up in the book of Acts chapter 26 verse 30 through 27 verse 1, and it was actually in 27 verse 1 where we had the word August when that came up in the matrix. But this is going back to Acts 26:30 is where this one starts, and right in here you have the word wheat coming up in ELS form in the pink, the letters W, H, E, A, T, and then you have August coming up in the plain text. But as I had mentioned earlier, if you go a little bit further down to Acts 27, you have the word August coming up in ELS form. So it comes up twice in chapter 27, once in the plain text and once in ELS form. But since this is starting out with Acts 26:30, I'm going to go ahead and read this matrix, and then I'll read the rest of the matrix when I go back to chapter 27. So what's interesting about this matrix right here is the very first thing that comes up is this phrase right here, and the king rose up. And I thought that was significant because if you look at Psalm 110, which I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to show it to you, but I'll try. It says right here in verse 1, it says, "The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool." So Jesus is seated at the right hand of the Father until God makes his enemies his footstool, and that's when Jesus will rise up. And I'm about out of time, so I'm going to have to continue with this in the next video. Thank you.